Um, so yeah, I was definitely confused with the SPY moving up as strong as it did. Um, I mean, the one thing that we did see on the daily is, really good volume the last 5 days, starting with that sell off day after Thanksgiving, I think it was. Um, and I don't know, the ranges weren't perfect to me. I do think like these 3 days made a little range, sort of like a compression, I guess. And then, um, and then you had another level here, that 465-ish, I guess. 464 and a half. So yeah, I mean, we were trying to figure out, like a plan onto when this was going to stop selling off. Maybe it was a 100-day moving average, and then what other things would we see? And I sort of found those those ranges, those daily ranges that started to happen around the 100-day moving average, or maybe before. So we're sort of predicting, well, maybe around here, but it didn't get down there. And I guess it did make one. I mean, you could say it made multiple, it had a range here and then made another one sort of right here. So yeah, this like 391 was sort of the inflection. Yeah, I think like Tyler said, that the Qs looked the cleanest. It does look the cleanest compared to SPY. The SPY was tricky to me, and I think that's why I didn't do so well on it. I was trying to short it, but it just wasn't as clean as this, even though I might have still tried to short this too. But it's like, we had this gap up to the top of the range, and then it gaps up even higher. I think we would have expected some kind of sell off at least to hit it, and then a bounce or a back into it and then a back out of it. I think either of those, we would have totally gotten it. It would have made sense. But of course, it can't be that easy. Every day is different. And just the way that all the markets moved up, at least the Qs and the SPY, it was like one of those pivot boss days where I think he breaks the days into like 6 different sort of setups, and like this day was like it took off and it just didn't even look back. I forget what that's called, but it was sort of a strange day. Normally you would maybe see that, if price was opening right here at 391, and maybe if this had even came up a little bit yesterday, so like it wasn't such a big gap, and then price was opening right at 391, and then we had that tight consolidation pre-market, and then you get that almost ORB, and then on top of it, all this pent up volume, and now all these, all this selling, you're now above that, and so it's just like a opposite discovery straight up. I don't know. It was tricky. I think it was really tricky. I think anyone was going to be tricked by this substantial, strong, like it already knew what it was doing and it was just going there no matter what. That type of move, and anyone was going to be sort of tricked by that after the last 2 weeks. Now, I think there was a lot of people that did think that, buy the dips, etc. And I was hearing people were liking the gap up and how it was looking bullish again, but I just think the way that it did it was just pretty crazy. So then, yeah, so I did try to short the SPY in the pre-market here with that sort of like that 465 area, thinking that was sort of the top right here. Like I said, this wasn't as clean as Q's. And I did get a decent move. I didn't partial though. Did feel a little tilty that I didn't partial, so that's my fault. And then kept trying to short it. Because you can see here, like, look at these wicks. So for the first 10 minutes, you see this. You see, oops, you see that, these big wicks, and then the wicks. And then you combine that with my idea, which is I thought 465 was a pretty good level. So I was like, oh yeah, this is going to eventually give out and then drop, but it didn't. So I fought it a bit hard and definitely got a little tilty from that. And then did take a break. And then later in the day, it was sort of in a range, high day range here. I don't really know what I was doing. I think I was just trying to play the top to the bottom. Yeah, this 468 was a huge level. I mean, there was like a ton of just, it kept going right back to it. 468 was like gravity, but it would get here and it would just do these crazy wicks and the level 2 would get crazy. And I shouldn't have, clearly I couldn't hold on to my trades here and I was getting scared too quick. So probably wasn't in the right mindset to be trading that. Microsoft, I think Microsoft made sense to me. I mean, I feel like this 330 level, or I guess 329 level was broken down from, support was broken down from, and then we had an inside day and then we gap above, sort of like SPY and Q, we gapped above that level, only Microsoft did a good job of pulling back, and almost retested 329, retested 330 really nicely. And then if so this would have been better, like if the SPY or Q had kind of done this, we would have, it's funny how we would have been totally bullish on SPY or Q had it just sold off some for us. Because that we weren't gonna, all Q had to do, all I had to do was just come down to like 391. Come down here a little bit, come down here, and then maybe get back above or give us any of those sort of like fake breakdown and then long type of moves, and then we would have gotten long. And yeah, it didn't make a good pre-market. I mean, look at that. That's a really good pre-market. So I do think that was, you can use that to add to your higher time frame levels. So yeah, so Microsoft kind of did what we would have liked, which is sort of a dip. And then not only does it dip, but and this is a little ugly here, but it does make kind of an opening range here. Sells down, consolidates here, comes up, and then does break the high. And you could have taken a long here, maybe seen it retest, tried it here, or even tried it right here. So with the idea that it pulled back, hit this higher time frame support. It did have high R-vol. I think it was maybe 1.5 at one time. And then ATR, pretty easy. It was 8. So you had plenty of room to go. So I think you had enough connections to go long on it. You could see here, even if you would have gone long here, you still had a good 60% of the ATR to go. Now, it didn't go all the way that way, but still, you had a lot to go. And then you combine that with, okay, well, we missed the SPY and the Q entry. It's looking really strong. We felt like it probably was going to be a trend day, so you get long somewhere in there, and this was a little weird how it just went straight up, and then eventually it petered out and just stayed up here. But I did get a trade earlier or later on it, same thing, kind of made this intraday range, and I actually had a limit order down here for it to fill me for the bounce. But I put it in right around here, didn't come down, but then I did like this little compression that it was making, kind of watched the level 2, it sped up, and so I got in, it flagged, and I got in again, and this was pretty cool. So I got a decent trade out of that, and I added in just in case it did hold. But that was it. I felt like this probably, I wanted it to touch a little bit higher to actually hit the range top to then give it the, like you see how these are a little bit better. Kind of gives you a few more opportunities to then get short or whatever. But just overall, I just overtraded a lot. INTC, I agree that this was a good stock. Again, it's just like, I don't know, just the pre-market. Do I have a playbook for this? I mean, I guess I do, but there's just other things to this that I feel like I don't have a playbook for. Just like, I guess you could say the Baba trade from a month or two ago. Baba's been trending down for a while, right? And then it did compress, made a daily breakout sort of. And then I took it for that swing long or day trade long, and I swung it. And then it eventually hit a nice gap fill. So it almost, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, that does sort of remind me of this. And so I guess what I'm saying is we're still short bias, right? Like this is downtrending. And it did do a double bottom, but, you know, look at all the bag holders and stuff, moving averages, gaps that it has to fill, etc. So I think, you know, this does scream short. And then Tyler in your video said that this was actually a gap fill right here, and I didn't even see that. This gap, this was really nice. So it opened up right there. We're pretty close. So I mean, this general area, we could have been looking for weakness. We would have been hoping for that. Plus, it's the 555 psychological level. Yeah, this is a really good spot. Plus, you get the really strong green candle, a lot of buying, and then on top of that, a big gap up. Well, it gapped up all the way up here. 7%. So 7% plus. I mean, it opened yesterday way down here, which was almost a 10% move. So yeah, it's going to be profit taking, a pullback type of move. So this did scream short. I think we probably all should have just been trying to short this bitch. And then yeah, calling out that gap fill was, I didn't even really see that. But I mean, generally looking at this daily, it does, you know, you can see some general ranges. I mean, kind of here and here are bigger ranges. And then in between here, that's where it gets a little bit tricky to me. And I guess you can look at the VPA here and say, well, it was right around there. So yeah, that 54.50-ish. So there was a bunch of kind of resistance right around here. And so I guess we should have just been saying, okay, all things say short. And then even up here, we like it short around here. What do we want to see here to go short? But then at the same time, all the markets were just screaming up. So that was a little annoying too. Because here I was trying to short SPY. It was fucking ripping up. And then here I see INTC and I couldn't pull the trigger because I was, you know, recency bias all fucked up from that. But when you guys called out INTC, I really did like it as well at this 54. And that's even before sort of putting all this together in the higher time frame. Yeah, just anywhere right around here. And then even here later is where I traded it. I liked this. Actually, I'm going to just do a zone here. So, you know, so let me go over multiple areas where we could have traded it. I mean, the 54 would have been nice, pre-market low. It's sort of confirming, hey, it's trending down. This is selling off. ATR was 1.4. I'm pretty sure it went crazy with ATR. Yeah. So it moved like, I guess it moved 2 ATR approximately, maybe less. So that's not bad. It's funny. Let's like talk about ATR. And even on these crazy good moves, a lot of times the stocks don't move more than about 1.5 ATR at the most 2. But yeah, you had a nice pre-market low here. And yeah, if you would have gotten filled up there, Tyler, that would have been pretty dope. And then you probably would have added. But yeah, it did feel chasey eventually. And so then it made a bottom here. I mean, you have this many red candles in a row, right? So then you normally get a pullback. And not only did you get a pullback, but you got a nice little sort of new 5-minute high consolidation. So then I felt like, hey, this is actually, I still wanted to short this, but and I wanted to short it up here. I was like, either here or here it's going to come back to, either VWAP and this 54, which is money, that'd be great, or it's not going to even get into this VPA action. So, but I got a little excited and I actually longed it on this sort of breakout because I had a target in mind, and the target was right here. So I got out of a lot, and then I got out of all of it, which is pretty cool. And then I'm not sure what I was doing in here, but I shorted it. So I turned around and shorted it, which I thought was pretty cool. So I shorted it, I think, on this new low right here. Maybe I added in here. And so then I partialed and I actually left more to either, I think the 52.70. So I did miss out on some profit there, thinking that this was going to be the move. But then again, it's like I'm not paying attention enough to, okay, well, how fast does it get to your, okay, so we have a bigger trend in mind, but then how fast does it get down to some of these levels? Well, that got down pretty quick. So when that's the case, that's when you have to think on the fly and maybe partial a bit more, right? I mean, you get 4 or 5, and then 4 or 5 red candles in a row, big candles, and then they start to compress, and then you get a wick, then you get another wick, then you get another wick, and it's all around this previous consolidation. Well, just get out of a lot, and then plan on getting back in here, somewhere up here, or if it comes back up here. And then I fought it a few more times, thinking, well, maybe it's, I don't know what it was. Oh no, I got out here, got short, added in, got out. So I was just fighting it. Got short again here. It worked. So I was just trading it a lot. And then, of course, it did eventually came up here another time and gave you another good move, and then another one down. There was a 52.50 and a 52 bid. So the INTC is a good trade setup to remember. I think we're getting better at, really combining the higher time frames, the middle time frames, etc. I mean, this is a trending down stock. A lot of bag holders, moving averages above. Sure, it looks strong with this candle, but then, we're going to have profit taking just on the daily setup. You combine that with hitting some levels here. It all screams short, even though maybe this is going to be a long here in the next few days or weeks. But for now, it's, this would need to get above probably this action. Probably need to get above 55, 56, and then hold to maybe get up to like here, right? You can see the VPA. Some more gap. There's just so many gaps on this. But yeah, that would make sense. There was a pullback here. So I would say if price can get above 55, 56 and hold later on, then we could look for a long to 58-ish, 59. And then again, you have 60 to deal with this gap down, and then up here 62. So there's so many resistance spots that it's going to have to hit to keep going. So I do like this, and let me just look up BABA really quick and compare that setup to this one. So this was, it was right here. So this was in October, right? So you see BABA's trending down. Let me get out my marker. And Tyler and I traded this pretty well, I believe. I know I did. I think he did too. Trending down. A lot of volume here. So, sort of slowing down, I guess, maybe is what we thought. Maybe climactic volume gets lower, but then gets back above, right? So now we were thinking, okay, that's a little bit of a change in character, head and shoulders combined with the climactic volume. And then we got a bunch of inside days here. Right here. And then it was right along 170, right? And then price trickles up here and the pre-market opens right here. Boom. And then you get that day where we get a breakout day. And I think there was decent volume right here. So I guess this is different than INTC, but in a way we were longing it, but we were still short bias on the higher time frame, because then we felt like it was going to run into resistance really quick. And we looked at this right here. It's like 182-ish or something. So we were long here, then even overnight it trickles up, and then it opens up here, and then we were like, let's short it. Kind of like INTC. We you could see the resistance level, still a downtrending stock. Sure, it made a reverse head and shoulders, but it would need to get above this, hold, and then maybe we were thinking long, and that would be, maybe substantial news or something to do that. And then so that day it was a good sell, and then it was an inside day, and then we had one more retest with a wick, sort of like a double top, and then that was it, and it was done for. And it sold off 182, 180, all the way down, and then gaps down, gap and go, pretty much just all the way down. So I see some similarities with INTC in terms of just the type of stock and what it's been doing on a higher time frame, and then combining it with kind of middle levels or middle time frames, and then smaller time frames. Well, that's all I got for now. I could probably go over more, but I think that's all I have for now. You can see SPY is just ripped up, pulled back, and now it's ripping up even further. It's literally going to hit all-time high today or tonight or some shit. Jeez. Yeah, thanks.